Has Rick seen his future threat already? Gene Page, AMC Warning, there are spoilers ahead for the Season 8 finale of AMC's The Walking Dead. Wrath. Most story arcs appeared to wrap up nicely on Sunday's The Walking Dead, but while Rick and most of the gang are enjoying their new solitary life free of Negan's rule, the Season 8 finale may have hinted at a larger threat looming on the horizon. Here's your last chance to head back before spoilers. Rick sees a bunch of zombies and then shrugs them off. AMC. Before Negan and the Saviors met with Rick on an open field, Rick noticed a giant herd of zombies off in the distance. The group agrees that they've never seen one that big. Rick quickly comments, "Things are changing," before the group carries onward. After the fight with Negan is over, Rick mentions the horde once more. He tells the Saviors that they as a collective are life, while the dead are the massive group of wandering zombies coming their way. That is a lot of walkers. AMC. Not much else is said about them, and no one seems to be concerned with diverting the hundreds, possibly thousands, of undead. But if you've read the comics, you may have wondered if Rick and the survivors were even looking at a group of zombies or another group of survivors. It's possible the show gave a peek at its next big threat, the Whisperers. One of the members of the Whisperer clan, Skybound, Image Comics. Who are the Whisperers? They're a group of survivors who travel among large groups of the undead. They wear the skin of walkers to blend into giant hordes and use them for safety. They were introduced in issue number 130 of the comic series in 2014. Their introduction came as a complete surprise because the character thinks he hears the zombies talking, only for it later to be revealed to be a living person in a zombie skin. They're led by characters who refer to themselves as Alpha and Beta. The group shows what happens when you don't try to rebuild civilization and instead devolve into your natural animal instincts. If the giant zombie horde doesn't sell you over, there was another slight hint at them on the season finale. Take a careful look at those posts. AMC. Did you notice the posts to an old fence lined up in the open field? The show seemed intent on having the posts visible several times throughout the episode. You can notice them again when Rick is sitting underneath the tree decorated with stained glass windows. There were more of them behind the tree Rick sat down at on Sunday's finale. AMC. The Whisperers make their mark in the comics by killing off a bunch of beloved Walking Dead characters and putting their heads on fence posts out in an open field. It looks a lot like the one seen on the Season 8 finale. Season 9 could be huge for deaths if the Whisperers turn up. Skybound, Image Comics. It's not the first time The Walking Dead has hinted at the Whisperers. If you head all the way back to 2013 as Season 3, Episode 12, Clear, there was a nod to the group. The episode has Rick run into Morgan for the first time since the show's premiere. He's lost his mind a bit after losing his wife and son in the zombie apocalypse. When Rick asks Morgan if he recognizes him, Morgan says something interesting. "People wearing dead people's faces," Morgan says. Was this Morgan lashing out or some clever foreshadowing years in the making? AMC. At the time, it sounded like gibberish to Rick, and that makes sense because of Morgan's fragile mental state at the time. But it's a bit different looking back now when you know there's a group of people out there covering themselves in the flesh of the undead. Of course, at the time, this could have been an Easter egg for fans to discover later, especially since the Whisperers weren't introduced at the time in the comics. Why wouldn't Morgan have ever mentioned such a group to Rick and his friends on later seasons? Vanity Fair believes the Whisperers may have been hinted at more recently on Season 8, Episode 2. Carol and Ezekiel come across a walker that looks like it has had large pieces of its skin torn off. Ezekiel wonders what happened, but the two ultimately shrug it off and continue on their way. Did they come across a walker who was used for his skin? Carol and King Ezekiel come across a curious walker on Season 8. Gene Page, AMC. Will we actually see the Whisperers on Season 9? That remains to be seen, but it seems like one of the most logical next steps for the show. Former showrunner Scott M. Gimple previously told TV Line the flesh-wearing villains are absolutely on the menu for the future of The Walking Dead. You can follow along with our Walking Dead coverage here.